The final topic in Learning Objective 4 deals with a decision that we call sell or process further. And so this is a point where your text says we're trying to determine whether we should stop with our product as it is now, or are there some additional things that we could do, some additional processes that we could add to improve our product and sell it as a modified product. So we have to determine a couple of things. Let me back up one slide. We have to determine a couple of things about our product. First of all, how much revenue, for example, if we were to stop at a certain point and sell our product as is, how much revenue would we generate? For example, your book says we have our smart tablets that we're currently selling, the standard and the premium, but what if I decided to add a front accessible USB port to my tablets? And so it would cost me $5 per tablet to do this. This would cover my modified casing, the USB component, the labor for that component. And if I were to do that, then I could sell my tablet for $20 more. Okay, so remember, all of the costs that have gone into the tablet are going into the tablet, whether we sell it as a standard tablet, a premium tablet, or a standard with USB or premium with USB. But what we want to know is how much revenue am I going to generate from my product just selling it as it is without a USB port? And so this is going to take into consideration the revenue that I would generate up to this point at split off. So what I also want to know is how much revenue would I generate if the company sells the product after processing it further, after adding the USB port to the tablet. This is called incremental revenue. So we know that it's going to be $20 more per tablet, and how many of those tablets could I sell? We also want to know what are the additional costs that I would incur to add the USB port, the additional process to this product. And so they've told us both of these. I would generate additional revenue of $20 per tablet. I would generate additional cost for that USB of $5. So when we do a comparison with our financial information, what we know is that I currently sell the tablets for $500. So if I do not add the USB port, I would generate $1.2 million in expected revenue from selling the tablet as it is. If I process the tablet further and I add the $5 USB port to it, okay, I could sell the product for $520 each. So $520 times $2,400 is incremental revenue, okay, or for revenue, of $1,248,000. So the difference between selling it as is and the revenue selling it with the USB port generates additional or incremental revenue of $48,000. And it's nice that I can generate additional revenue, but what are the additional costs that I have to incur? In this situation, the additional costs were $5 each. Okay, so the additional cost per tablet, my incremental cost, are $12,000. Incremental revenue less incremental cost generates incremental profit of $36,000 if I decide to process this product further. $1,236,000 is compared to $1.2 million. So it sounds like, hey, this is a great idea. We would generate additional profit if we continue to process it. But I also need to take into consideration the quality of those USB ports, how well they will work. Do my customers really want those USB ports on the front of their tablet? So we have to take everything into consideration. Now you'll notice in this decision process, your book told you that we incurred $964,000 worth of cost in producing my 2,400 tablets. And at this point, okay, this is our split off. At this point, we try to decide, should I add additional cost to process it further? $5 each. If I do, how much additional revenue would I generate? Okay, so I'm looking at additional revenues and additional cost beyond the split off. The $964,000 that I spent on these tablets prior to considering the iTablet are joint cost, and these costs will not change regardless of whether I add the USB port or not. So these are considered sunk cost, and they're not relevant to the particular decision at hand. So how do we know, once again in summary, whether to sell it at its split off point or to continue to process it further? If incremental revenue will exceed incremental cost, then we could continue to process it further unless there are some qualitative factors that prevent us from doing so. All right, so we've addressed several issues that identify short-term decisions that managers may run across in their organization. This one, we have the opportunity to process our product further. Would we continue to do that? We looked at whether we should make or buy a product or outsource it to someone else. We have also looked at product mix and sales mix when we have a capacity constraint. Should we, how do we determine which product should be, the production of which product needs to be maximized in order to generate the most contribution margin profit? Which one of those decisions would be most profitable for us? And once again, these are all decisions that your book said are going to be made within the short term while we are trying to decide what investments we need to make to improve on these decisions in the long term.